Hey everybody, Dave here. I hope you're having an awesome day. So today, I wanted to talk a little bit about who is Dr. Toys and why do I do what I do? Sometimes I wonder myself. And hang around because I'm also going to do a little bonus unboxing of this little mini toy packet. So come on. Okay, so to understand who Dr. Toys is, we have to go back a little bit. As a kid, I grew up in San Diego. I was born in 1976, so I was a kid of the 80s. Got Saturday morning cartoons, bowl of cereal, a blanket, 8 a.m. Those were the good old days. But as a kid, my dad was always in nonprofit organization work. And so we never had a ton of money growing up. We were always taken care of, no problem. But never had a ton of money, and I never had a ton of toys. I can remember I had friends with tons of toys, and so I would, you figure it out and you get to play. And I remember one of my buddies had like the entire mini Micro Machine collection with like the city and a gas station. I mean, so cool. Another was the Stompers. Oh man, like I don't know if you remember, they were like little Jeeps and they had pretty good sized wheels. I think it was one AA battery would go in it, and you literally just turn it on and it just takes off. I mean, that's all it did. It just went and just went. Oh, it was so cool. But I do remember I did have one toy that I really, really loved, and it's memorable to me. It was the Bandai Transformer Japanese jet. It's red and white. It was a really beautiful Transformer. I don't actually know where that is. Maybe it's at my parents' house, but because I didn't have a lot of toys and we didn't have a ton of money, I would create things. I would go into the garage and I would look around and be like, ooh, here's some wire and here's some washers and a 2x4 and I would just create things, or I would take paper and cut out little things and make things. And so I think that has always been part of who I am, and just loving to make things and create and do things with my hands. And I've always been a little bit artistic in the sense of I always enjoyed drawing and coloring and creating, just making cartoons. I would draw the Flintstones, and I would draw Garfield and Snoopy and all those kinds of things. And so when I was about 13, my school never had an art program or anything, but when I was about 13, there was a school competition, and there was a competition to enter some artwork. And my dad, being in education my whole life, he was like, hey, you're going to enter something for art for this competition. I said, I don't really know how to draw that. I just draw like cartoons and stuff. And he's like, well, your mom will teach you. And that's kind of my dad. He's just matter of fact, like it's education. Like how hard could this be? And my mom was an amazing self-taught artist. And so she sat down with me one day. I remember this like it was yesterday, sitting down, and she showed me just the form or the principles of form and shape and value and shading, and kind of just worked through it, and like it just clicked. I was like, oh, I totally get this. This is amazing. And so at my first competition, I did a drawing of a horse, and I entered it in the state competition. I got first place, and then in nationals I got 13th place. And I was like, 13th place. I'm super competitive, so I kind of made it a point that I would never get 13th place again. In the last 3 years of high school, I got first place in the competition, state and national. So, yeah. Anyways, I think because of this ability, like academic-wise, I was never great. In fact, I remember when I went to art school, a lot of my parents' friends were like, he's going to college? Like, yikes. Is he going to make it? But I made it, and I studied commercial art, and I realized probably in order to make a living doing commercial art illustrations, it's going to be really difficult. So I went ahead and I worked my way through school, and I got my master's degree in graphic design. And that's actually where I landed my first job moving back to California as a graphic designer. So here I am in California at my first job. I've got this big desk, computer, and all these cool shelves that are totally empty. And that's kind of what started my toy collecting. I actually started collecting Johnny Lightnings, the little die-cast metal cars. Now, for me as an artist, the level of detail of the Johnny Lightnings was just really nice. There was something that just lured me to the Johnny Lightning collection just because they were so nicely done. So that's kind of where I started collecting little cars, and then I would find little action figures or little toys here and there at thrift store or yard sales, and that's kind of how I started building my collection. Now, from there, I am a huge thrift store nut. Like, I have been thrifting since I was like 13 years old. And I'm talking like obsessively. Like, I would ride my bike to the thrift store at least 3 or 4 times a week, and I would hunt the entire thrift store. I love thrifting, and I love yard sailing. Now, I live in Colorado, so yard sailing is from about like May to end of August. So it's a little window, but man, I'll hit it hard in the summertime yard sailing here in Colorado. And I love yard sailing, and I think it might be an obsession, it might be a problem. Some people would say hoarding, I don't know, like I say collecting, but I have bins and bins in storage and in my shed and up in my attic space of toys and action figures and cars and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I think that has kind of been what kickstarted my YouTube channel. So I had these bins full of action figures, and a lot of them are broken or pretty rough and damaged. And so I thought, what can I do with these things? So I started swapping all the heads, and I was like, oh, this is pretty fun. And started kind of sanding down some scuff marks and repainting them. I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. And I wondered, can I actually push this even further? And I actually started with my Instagram channel. And originally I called myself the Toy Doctor. And of course, my daughter's like, that's kind of weird. And so I was like, well, what about DR Toys? Now, my name's Dave Russell, so the DR. Now, growing up, nobody ever called me Doctor because I'm not that smart. But so that's kind of where the channel name came from, is Dr. Toys or DR Toys, Dave Russell. So I started working on these toys, and I started the YouTube channel primarily because it gave me an outlet to actually create. I was making stuff, but when you're just making stuff and you can't really share it with anybody, it's kind of boring. It's not fun. And so I thought, I kind of want to just share with people what I'm doing, just for fun. I want people to see the struggles that I go through. I want people to see that, hey, I don't actually know what I'm doing. I have like a huge collection of toys, and I just started messing around with them. So I think the idea of having you come along with me in an adventure and maybe encourage you or maybe challenge you to try it yourself, go out there and do something cool. That is kind of my passion and my drive for making my YouTube channel, is just sharing some information that I've learned through my process. And I think as my channel's grown, I am seeing makers contacting me and giving me some great ideas and giving me encouragement. And I think it's simply amazing. So I do have a question for you. I want you to put it in the comments below. What was your favorite toy growing up? Do you have one toy that you remember that was just like, this was the most amazing toy ever? So leave that in the comments below. I'm really curious about that. And if you have any questions for me, and you're like, hey, you didn't mention this, but I'm curious, I will do my best to answer it. And don't go anywhere, because we're going to open this up as a little bonus. As always, it's a great day to be a toy nerd. Have a good one. Oh, really quick, before we look at this and open this up, I am working on a pretty crazy build right now, something I have never done before, and it is a doozy. But stay tuned. Check this out. Hopefully next week I'll have it posted, and I think you'll like it, so stay tuned. Now, if you haven't seen my video of the Pac-Man, I built my Pac-Man out of a very similar package to this. So it was actually the mini brands, but yeah, so check that out if you haven't seen that already. All right, let's get the first one going here. Okay, the first one is Robo Alive. It is a dinosaur. That is pretty cool. T-Rex, I like that. And the second one. Pets Alive. It looks like a little llama. That's adorable. Guessing my daughter will take that one from me. Let's see the next one here. What do we got? What do we got? Oh, that's cool. the bunch of balloons. The new where you can just fill up all the balloons really quick. Okay, we got two more. Let's see what we got. All right, some classic washable tempera. Nice. Okay, and the last but not least, come on, give me a good one. What do you got? A hula hoop. Okay, that's pretty great. So there they are. Fun little bonus. As always, it's a great day to be a toy nerd again.